Joining you from Crete. And before we start, I welcome all of you uh, joining Summer Talks. And before we begin, I want to start personally tonight. Until the very last moment, I was not certain that this summer talk will take place as it is planned. Because yesterday I had to evacuate from Aia Halini, where we live now, because of the wildfire in Resino. So tonight, the risk is not an abstract topic for me, and I hope for most of you too. This is the message you receive, the wind you watch. It is decision you need to make. The people who call, the people who offer help, the network who suddenly becomes very real, doesn't matter how many kilometers we are apart. And tonight I also want to acknowledge the firefighters and everyone protecting lives, homes, animals, and then the land. And we heard that two firefighters yesterday lost their lives fighting this fire. So before speaking about resilience, I want to honor them and this reality. Yesterday reminded me that hidden resources are not philosophical at all. Physical fitness is a resource. Psychological steadiness is a resource. Clear communication is a resource, very high value. Trusted network is a source. When everyone is ready and opens gyms and schools for tourists and residents who have to evacuate, community is a resource. We received the messages from Lithuanians living in Crete asking if we need help, and we accepted the invitation to stay with friends. Just to calm you, we are fine. We are perfectly fine. We're already back home, and hopefully the fire will collapse tonight eventually. But none of this, those risks sit in risk registers. I think you agree with me. And when pressure comes, these resources help us notice, decide, move, ask for help, and stay human. And this is exactly why tonight topic matters. Unspoken risks, how hidden resources shape business resilience. Because resilience is not only built from plans, controls, and patterns. It is also built from the inside out. In energy, in trust, attention, relationships, communication, and the ability to respond together. So welcome to this summer talk, and let me share a screen and then start this talk. And if you are free to communicate in chat and then raise your hands, and let's have a really nice time talking about things that truly matters. So in just a second. I believe that you see my screen. Yes. So let me ask you, what is one hidden resource your organization depends on more than it admits? And I would love to ask you to share this in a chat. What this hidden resource comes to your mind first? Time. Yeah. private time of employees, personal resolve, commitment of people, strong shared values, knowledge. Wow, we are building something. Yeah, great. Thank you. All those resources, external connections, and then much more. We will talk a little bit tonight, and I prepared some examples also to illustrate those hidden resources. But firstly, I think that it is important for us to kind of agree that the question that usually this conversation starts, what can go wrong, is not the best one. Because when we start with this question, we usually end up with a huge list of risks, and we are not certain how to deal with them and what to do next. And this list does not add strength to our organization, but on contrary, it quite often eats our treasure, expensive resources, our treasury, our time, as you said, and our human energy. So what is the better question that we can replace this? I like to reframe it, what are we relying on to make things go right? And only then we can build on this. What are dependencies and trades off between those things that we truly rely on? Are we exchanging our time to energy, our knowledge to energy? There are a lot of trade-offs that we share those hidden resources unconsciously. And these questions, they change our connection with risk, and we can focus. I see that people are still joining. That we can focus and we can move on in very clear direction when we understand what we rely on. And seeing how wrong questions eat our time and energy and other resources, I established risk workout, and I go deeper how to connect business purposes and risk together. Because, honestly, I still truly believe that we can exactly to connect business and risk together. It's not like two parallel worlds that sometimes we live and navigate from one to another. And I see a nice comment about the water motive. And actually, after I was, trying to choose, is it tree or is it water, more close to this topic? And I believe that both have pros and cons. But after yesterday's experience, I came with the water motive very confident as a very important source. And here in Greece, I experienced that river, for example, is not as we used in Lithuania or in Germany or in Netherlands, that if there is river, there is a river forever. No, in Greece, river is seasonal. I don't know even what is the better word for this seasonal thing, because in winter there are rivers, in spring there are flows, and in summer they are sometimes roads instead of rivers, and then you can travel without wetting your feet. And when we talk about those resources, as you already mentioned, and then I mentioned in the introduction, this is like strategy and people and customers and finance and technology and leadership. Those words are familiar and used in every business, But what happens, our hidden resources usually live between them, between them. Time, between people, strategy, it makes us to choose. Our purpose and energy also is shared among those. So all those parts are connected. And today I prepared a couple of cases to illustrate how those failures that we quite easily formulate that, oh, this plan failed because of mismanaged risk of liquidity, of decision, or it was just a human mistake. We all like this explanation. It is human mistake. What we can do about it? But when we look deeper in almost in each sound case, we can see the shadow of hidden resources that were not used properly, that were not understood timely, and influenced this surface, this failure that became visible. So the first case, what I chose for illustrating this summer talk, I think that it is quite familiar, the Silicon Valley Bank. What happened? I mean, this bank in States was very much focused on working with startup organizations, with tech startups, and had really focused network and very huge growth and good reputation. And it was deeply connected into this technological and venture capital ecosystem. And in 2023, it was quite some failure. It was some injections of funds, and then actually the government also made some steps to resolve situation, but it failed because of liquidity as it was concluded mismanaged interest rate risk. But if we look deeper, what happened, I think some of you already can assume that yes, this integration into ecosystem and concentration of customers from the one segment, it was more true explanation why this liquidity and interest rate was mismanaged. Underneath, we see that everything was built on the confidence, and becoming part of this ecosystem, bank started to behave that, well, yes, we can take more risk because the startups they needed some support, and we are integral part of it, and everything is built on confidence. But what happened? This tightly concentrated network, when the customers had liquidity problems, they are coming from the same sector, and they started to withdraw funds quite suddenly. Well, this confidence vanished together with money, and the lesson was that liquidity is not only the cash. The liquidity is also trust, timing, and collective behavior. I think that the relationship between customers and in the bank was not that deep to foresee and to understand how those needs are changing. And some question for food for thought for you is, where does our financial resilience depend on trust behaving calmly? Because I have experience of this quite old already crisis of 2008, and when a lot of credits from in different sectors they failed, and they were not performing. But the customers behaved very differently. Some customers were establishing relationship with banks and sitting and talking and looking for solution. But some customers They were trying to protect their assets, their families, maybe to sacrifice one business for the sake of another. And this trust that we all behave as agreed, as written in our agreement, was not backed with the knowledge and with truly knowing your customer. Another case that I want to talk a little bit, the name is less known. It was not very much known for me, but when I was looking and preparing for this meeting, I found it quite interesting. It is also American company, but this was unicorn. This was tech purpose unicorn with very nice idea to create co-working spaces for people based on common culture, on shared values, and a very nice story around it. And this tech purpose unicorn was valued already at $47 billion when it filed for the bankruptcy protection. And what happened with this company? Um, when nobody look to those failures from hidden resources as we talk, but it is not usual to collect data and then to have facts and but reading different interviews and then collecting those pieces from different sources, I had this feeling that the key reason why company ran into the situation, like they explained that they grew too fast and then they mismanaged the growth. But actually what happened, it was very clear narrative drift. They started with very nice idea, but the company, when it grew, they were not able to establish the same company inside the same culture inside the company. And this strategic lack of strategic coherence ended up even in complaints from the employees that they have very hostile culture. It was masked as empowerment, but people were feeling that they are prisoners and slaves in this company without mismanaged time. So the question, looking at that kind of story and then hidden resources that turned to quite sound failure, was that what kind of story in your business maybe helps to make better decisions, or maybe a story already became too expensive to maintain. And this very moment is something to speak up in a company, that we do not believe anymore what we are trying to sell. If we are not living that way, is it true? And then we investing in the marketing more and more funds, but our results are not coming because narrative is drifting and we living different way. And my question is also to you. You are welcome to write in chat, or if somebody wants to, you can raise a hand. And if you look into familiar environment, companies that you deal with, maybe you are supplier or customer, maybe you are working in those companies. What is more often situation? Is trust moving faster than controls, or story becoming stronger than reality? Or maybe both, or maybe none of them. Maybe you do not see this, that trust is not backed with controls, or story is not overwhelming the reality. Have you experienced something like this? Yeah, I see comment from Martin that Societe Generale scandal in 2008 when a trader took too many above threshold positions back with hierarchy. So this was like a trust moving faster than controls, I think, this illustration, because we mandate trust and we do not bother ourselves to put some controls and accountability. Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. Good. So I think, yeah, Sven responded, sometimes story can create new reality if enough power network involved. Yes, yes, this story can be empowering also, but we should be very careful understanding, you know, how things develop in time. Good. Thank you. Okay, so next story that I have, it is about CrowdStrike. I think that CrowdStrike is not that much maybe familiar, but the Falcon as security platform. And when I found this case, I said, yeah, well, I recall how people were complaining that the story is that it was. Security platform protecting customers, like ensuring cybersecurity, and they one update of this platform caused 8.5 million devices affected and even crashed. And they realized this. I do not remember what how it was related, why it started with Windows, and they realized that they can stop canceling this update and save Apple users and Linux users. Yeah. SolarWind. Yeah, well, SolarWind yeah, maybe had some connection, but when I looked to this case, why I wanted to bring it to our conversation. Cybersecurity is not anymore a thing that we can leave only for professionals. It is affecting every one of us. And sometimes we have those like trusted digital infrastructures that we buy, we subscribe tools and apps and solutions to protect ourselves. But sometimes those solutions can kill us also. And uh, working in those networks, sometimes we depend on solutions that our customers, our partners are using, and sometimes we even do not know this. And I partner with the Copla company who are providing a GRC platform for dedicated to third parties and ICT risk management. And they have plenty of stories, and actually next week we will have this conversation. So if you want to join and look deeper into those risks, you are most welcome. I think information is available on LinkedIn. But the question is behind what protect us, but could also stop us. And this again, this is hidden resource. This is hidden resource because sometimes we even do not consciously realize what we depend on to achieve our purpose. And the last story that I brought to this conversation about those hidden resources, it is different. This is completely different. All previous, they had like a huge scales, relatively significant, and affected a lot of people, or a lot of money were involved. Those cases are not that magnificent and not related with this high scale. But nevertheless, in nowadays, when we all become more and more AI users, I think I found them very interesting in conversation about hidden resources and resilience. So you maybe already read that it both happened 2 years ago. Air Canada was ordered to compensate a customer for inaccurate information provided by their AI-driven chatbot. And the customer won this case, and it was precedent to require some responsibility from chatbot advices. Another case related with DPD, last mile logistic services. This company, and it was quite funny to read in the news that the company had to disable chatbot, or at least part of functionality, because prompted by the customer, chatbot started to swear and criticize the company. This is not a corporate failure, but this is new emerging hidden resource which is not about technology. It is about human and AI capability, how we work together and how we delegate our work and how we keep responsibility. Resource diversity should also be a key element of an organization's resilience. Yeah, Andrews, I totally agree with you that depending on single resource, it is a big impact on our resilience. And what we can do with this? First of all, what hidden resources behind this conversation? This is trust. Again, as with this broker and as with other cases, we have to back up trust with controls and visibility and accountability, and automating our processes, and especially in front processes. We also carry on our brand's voice. And we should be very much confident how this brand voice is developing, how it is emerging, how it is adapting to the changing context. And with AI, I keep asking customers and companies I work with that, where is your AI already representing organization, even if you still treat it as maybe experiment? And today I will not allocate much time going into things about AI, but I personally think that we cannot treat only as a tool or experiment anymore. If we are putting it into our processes, we should clearly understand what role it is delegated, who is responsible for decisions, how we ensure quality, and how we can see what's going on. And so I also sometimes like to run experiments as a customer, for example, with fintech companies. And when chatbot advised me how to proceed with things, it was very funny. Next morning, I got a letter from KYC department that, well, we cannot find any e-shop on your website. I said, well, you shouldn't, because your chatbot told me that instead of putting e-shop, I can put any website into the questionnaire. And what is interesting that this resource is quite hidden, because if it's not bringing big loss, as it was with customer of Canadian Ear, usually customers do not bother. They sometimes maybe even do not know whom to inform that they are receiving funny advices or wrong, even wrong guidance from the chat. So again, I want to repeat myself that you are welcome to join next week and to look a little bit deeper into ICT and third parties risks. But now I have already questioned that if I have classification of hidden resources. Of course I have. So the things are starting with resource. Then there's dependency. Then there is overuse or concentration. And what you, Andrews, mentioned in the chat about dependency on the single resource, too high concentration. Yes, it is first of all dependence, and then it is overuse. And those remain underwater. Usually, we do not talk much. Yeah, I got. I hope you still hear me because the wind is crazy outside and then the internet is not very stable. But the problem is that usually there is a signal, but signal is weak and we normalize it. We do not hear it. That, oh, Vilma, it is such a small issue. Why should we pay attention to it? It never happens that it is written. Why should we look and take care? But all those things turn to visible failure. So how we can, knowing this pattern, this is a pattern. This is a pattern for our resource map, hidden resource map. So knowing this, how we can go forward, how we can hear this weak signal, how we can look and identify this hidden resource before visible failure. So this is the key issue, what we wanted to take from this. And this is a small reminder that in risk workout, we are working a lot with strategic integrity and about hearing weak signals and establishing trusted controls. But now you are waiting for the map, and I want to go through this map. So first of all, in this map is attention. Where is our attention spanning? What we really focus and care and notice. And this is already an answer about weak signals, about the noticing, about the hearing our system. So attention is a trigger. Attention is trigger of our hidden resources map. Then very strong element that I want to put first is purpose. The first is purpose and narrative. Shared mission, strategic coherence, customer promise, and belief in direction. Remember, all those failures. The next, when we have already like a trigger, our attention, our purpose, and then there's human energy. Where is our human energy leaking? Where founder stamina is connected, where leadership attention is directed. What is team capacity and emotional bandwidth? And out of them, only when knowing those, we can find the source for trust. We can establish the trust. Trust allows movement between people and to collect all those parties like clients, partners, regulators, investors, and what trust we rely on in when we are making decisions. Out of this, we already have network. This is our strong hidden resource, and some parts in this network are connected contract-based, but some parts are interacting without contracting and without written agreements. And here, like even associations, peers, personal relations. Somebody I remember mentioned private, personal time of employee. So employees and then team members, they also have networks and social networks, and a lot of hidden potence is in this area. And here we are connecting human AI capability. AI is stepping into networks, and we cannot ignore this anymore. And out of this, together, humans, our ecosystem parts, and AI are building collective knowledge, which is very strong foundation and hidden resource. And where's finance, you would ask? Quite often we start with the finance as the key resource for any business. Yes, finance gives us capital, provides liquidity, reserves, runway, and investment capacity, and it is our fuel for growth. But the truth is that finance really is a limitation to grow. Finance become limitation when we do not cover everything else. If we clearly focused, if we have very focused energy, if our trust is backed with accountability and controls, if we have trusted and active network around us, and fast moving collective knowledge, it is easy to attract finance even if we do not own it for growth of our business. Now I kind of like going to summarizing all this talk, and hopefully we will have still a few minutes for the questions. I want to put in the questions. So you can take a picture, like a screenshot or whatever, and if you want me to send you this list or like a visuals, you can always contact me and then get it into emails. So what visible resources does objective depend on? When we have already our business objective, what we're talking, and I think that I should not persuade you that risk is about achieving our objectives. So what visible resources does this objective depend on? What hidden resource does it depend on? We already had some hidden resources on previous slide. Which of these resources are concentrated? Which are used more faster than we can renew it? What early signals can tell us if this resource is becoming fragile? And who else should be in this conversation? This is the question that we sometimes skip, and also damage our resilience. Who else should be in conversation when we are taking decision, knowing our visible and hidden resources? And for today's conversation, I want to ask you and to hear from you, which hidden resource feels most underestimated in organizations today? What are your experiences and thoughts? Please turn your mics on and speak up. I see question if it is possible to calculate resilience and part of hidden resources. Yes, we can quantify hidden resources as well. Of course, it is. We will not apply traditional ways of quantification, but when we talk, for example, about our energy, so we always can estimate if this energy is directed to one purpose, or if this energy is scattered around multiple and maybe competing purposes, what our result would be. And We can quantify concentration. We can even look at early signals and out of this draw scenario. So yes, I mean, the short answer is we can quantify. Experience of the seniors. Great. I think that one of those resources that we should activate more, it is collaboration, co-working between generations. And I'm strong advocate of this, and I believe that putting together and we can strengthen our collective knowledge, which is very sound hidden resource. Intergenerational exchanges. Yeah, yeah, sure. I think that this is something that it is really underestimated in businesses and in different sectors. What is resource do you think is hardest to talk openly? Oh, I see a few remarks. Sometimes the environment does not support us to talk about hidden resources. Yeah, I see. Listen, to all levels of organization, every has its view and all relative reality. Yeah, but if we have time to talk and to have around the table right people, our ecosystem, we can hear and we can put those fragments of reality together and discover both hidden resources and how we overuse or underuse those resources and find even solutions. Mhm. What about resilience based on the duration of the time to response? Uh, This is a good question. Time to response when it's like a trigger and then responding. This is right and common measure, but I see also another measure which is very much important when we talk about hidden resources. Time to restore resource, to renew resource. If we use it, how long does it take for us to recover? And we can be very good in responding. And as today I started about this fire on a southern part of Crete, the system works so good responding. I mean, the communication is excellent and the process is activated immediately. But then there is a question about time to uh, to, to restore used resources, to train people, to keep energy and the skills of volunteers. And it is in action to see, and it is so calming to see how people are working together. Like a lot of private vehicles, both from businesses and even farmers and just individuals who have spaces to carry water, for example, they are coming without any call, without negotiations, without orders. They are not waiting when somebody asks them to bring the water, because they know that this resource is being consumed very fast during the fire, and they should restore it. So I think when we talk about resilience, it is also important for us to understand that this time to respond is important, but after that we should also to think about the time to restore our resource. Yeah, what else? I think same time in speed and opportunity. Yeah, and And the most difficult is to decide what to choose in one or another situation. And now, when we are struggling with to take decision, we have to think about these weak signals. How we can notice if it's working or if it's not working, and that enables us to act faster in uncertain situations, because like those firefighters, they have no idea how wind can change. And yesterday evening was the most difficult situation, because the wind is not only extremely strong, but it is also changing direction. And because of wind, they were not able to use helicopters to fight with the fire. And at the same time, the fire was venting to multiple directions at once. But all those volunteering people and then coming new forces, they still managed to keep most of villages protected from the fire. Yeah, so those hidden resource conversation is very important. And uh, uh, I see that this message about the weak signals, weak signals, for example, like uh, I have the story about chemical plant. The plant was closed already. It was in India and already years ago. The plant was closed. They were not producing. Technology was stopped, but they still had some processes in the background going on. And one technician noticed that this indicator of pressure, it's kind of like shaking. It looked, but it cannot be like this. Everything is stopped. There is no technological processes going on, so it might be broken, like one weak signal. Another technician looked through the window, or even administration. I think that it was some clerks still left on the plant to take care of documentation. Like looked through the window. Is it some vapor going on from the soil? It is some strange thing, but it cannot be. I mean, nothing is underneath, and no processes are going on, and it cannot be another weak signal. And those people were not talking together; they were not connected. And long story short, this plant ended up with the major environmental crisis and pollution, because yes, in storage there was some where used chemicals were stored. There was some processes going on unnoticed, unattended, and it was big explosion, and a lot of people were killed, and it was really very big environmental failure, and too costly for people and for nature, only because we normalized those weak signals. Good. Thank you all. I already took more than 5 minutes out of your time when promised, and thank you for attending. It was really big happiness for me to see all those familiar and new faces. And let's stay connected via LinkedIn. And if you guys are interested and you see that you wanted to enter a deeper conversation and to sit together like a business and risk people, you are more than welcome to contact me, and I can guide you through a risk workout program. And for those who just want to allocate some time for free summer talks, so next week, I think it's August 6th, sorry, mistake. We will continue conversation about strategic dependencies and ICT risks and AI, of course. So please welcome to join. Good. And I see that already your very nice feedback and thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. And it was pleasure to be with you tonight. Stay safe, stay resilient, and protect your energy and your hidden resources. Bye.